Good morning, everyone. Well, it's the start of another week, the 10th of the 10th in 22, Monday, and it's just come up to 7 o'clock here in La Sable d'Olonne. Thought we'd just start off, kick the can with the leaderboard, which is interesting. Simon Kerwin obviously still in the lead, way ahead of everyone else by a couple hundred miles. And then it's Abelish, Tommy coming second because he's closest to the rum line in the direct route, and that'll play out in interesting ways, which we'll talk about in a minute. Kirsten's still up there, number 3, then Tapio, Pat, and Damien's up into 6th place now. He's slowly pushing ahead, but we'll talk about that as well. Day runs, the 24-hour run in the last 24 hours, Abelish is up at 161 nautical miles, and Pat's holding his own as well. He's on the same, so powering along. But anyway, all is very interesting there. We'll get rid of that now, and we'll start talking about what's going on. Some interesting stuff. First of all, the first thing that hits me is Arnaud's actually made pretty good gains from the tail end of the fleet, catching up with Ian. Arnaud's currently doing 4.3. This is the real-time weather at the moment, so if it's accurate, that's not too bad, 4.3. And he's only about 90 miles behind Ian Herbert Jones, who's only making 2.8 knots at the moment. So he's got you can see a little bit of a hole there, different shading, blue, so lacking the breeze, but the breeze is actually coming to him, so he should pick up. But it's good to see Arnaud back in the game. Guy Waits making 4.1, so he's obviously just come into his own. You can see he's been really struggling the last few days with the breeze, but he's there. Poor old Elliot, I'm not sure what's going on here, because right now he's doing 0.9 of a knot heading the wrong way. And I think this could be a factor of having a sleep. I'm not sure right now, because he should be sailing, but anyway, we'll keep an eye on that. It looks as if the breeze is there. We're not totally sure, because this can be, when you're in these light gradients, it could be no wind at all where he is. But we've been watching him, and he's still chugging along, so we'll keep an eye on that, but not going anywhere fast. And it's really sad for him, because previously he was right up here in the middle of, getting close to the middle of the fleet, and he's had no wind for a few days, and we predicted that anyway, so hopefully he gets back on track very shortly. You can see the distinct trade wind line through here, so it's moved north over the top of the fleet. And Jeremy's now making 5 knots, so he should hold that now. He's basically entered the trades. Captain Good making 5 knots. He'll be happy with that, but he won't be so happy that Damien's pulled away from him. Damien's making 6.6, obviously working very hard, because they should have similar weather. So part of the course, Ayrton has been extremely frustrated, which we all know, but he's now in the breeze, and he should be able to hold his own. Making 4.7, back in the hunt, so hopefully he'll settle down and feel good about what's going on. The big news, just saw a tweet come in from Guy Waits, went over the side, surprise, surprise, the bottom of the boat is covered in barnacles. So it'll be interesting. He's just started in the breeze, but he's not going too fast, 4 knots. And hopefully he managed to clear a lot of that away. So I think they may be talking on the radio with each other now, I'm not sure, but looks like there's going to be a few barnacle issues, so hopefully they can knock them out now and see what happens. Then the lead pack, so you've got Kirsten out to the west doing 6.7, trucking along, which is great. Pat Lawless the same, a little bit faster, 7 knots, so he's powering. And then Tapio 6.7, so again he's held his position, but Pat's slowly boring down on him, which is interesting because it's boat for boat at the moment. And Abelish 7.3. Now this is where his westerly position is going to pay dividends, because I'll explain. First of all, Simon up here doing 6.1, so he's just powering. Okay, he's got the wind on the beam. I think what you're seeing here, you can see Abelish's course is still heading down this way, coming down to the rum line, whereas Pat, if you look at him now, he's virtually heading due south. And because Abelish is making 7.3, I wouldn't be surprised if he's holding his asymmetric spinnaker, probably a 90-degree asymmetric or something, and that means he's not able to hold the rum line, but he's gone for speed to get ahead of these guys. So I'm making lots of guesses here, but assumption is he's still holding this course, running his kite as long as he can. The trades might pick up here. You can see some yellows and tones in it, so he'll have to drop it shortly, and he won't want to go past the rum line. That's why he's coming second in relation to the others. He is closer to the turn point, So that's kind of interesting. The other one now, just looking at the leaders here, if we look at bringing the weather forward, and you can watch this, if you look at the wind direction now, it's pretty much, it's bordering on an east-southeasterly direction, which is kind of nice because it's easier to manage. So it's just forward of the beam on Kirsten here, and it's on the quarter, it's behind the beam with Abelish on this course. And as we come forward, if we go forward a day, about there, you'll see the wind directions now changing. See, it's a distinct southeasterly direction. Okay, now that's not going to favour Kirsten. The wind's going to be coming much further forward on the beam as she goes south. So you'll see her slow up a bit. She won't be running kite. She'll be running, she'll be reaching. Now she'll be close reaching now, not going to windward, but it makes a big difference. So the wind is definitely going to a southeasterly. That'll affect Pat as well. If you're going down here due south and you've got a southeasterly, that's going to slow you down. You're not going to windward, but it's definitely going to play into the hands of Abelish, because if you're onto the if you're onto the east side of the course, you get a better slant, although he's pretty much going to be on the run line shortly. Simon's going to be affected as well. You'll see it's coming forward, well forward of the beam now, not to windward, but it'll be very close reaching. The motion of the boat's different because the sea state, even though they'll only be a couple of metres, you're going up and over them rather than running along, with them coming on the beam. So that'll play into the hands of Abelish a bit. You might see him still gain a little bit more relatively. Back here in the fleet, this is 1 day forward. You can see the wind softening off, a big hole behind. So hopefully, and Elliot's still lucking out. He's still in this area of no wind or very low wind. He's got to get down here fast, and it's not going to happen by the look of it. So he's still going to be trapped. And Ian should be right, and then Urton and Guy, they should be into that as well. So that's 1 day forward. If we go forward the second day, you can see there still light winds. These guys have got to keep on the move to keep up with it. But 2 days from now, they should be down here. Hopefully Elliot will be underway and he'll get this and be out of there. So there's 2 days. 3 days. 3 days ahead, it's the same. By then, everyone should be into it and making progress south. So what's happening to the leaders at 3 days back? It's actually gone a little bit further back to the east, but it's still a distinct southeasterly flow. So they've got to get round Trinidadi down here. Let's do a distance and see how far. I think Simon should be there on the weekend, I reckon. Yep, 640 miles, so that's 5 days. Or less than 5 days if they're making 130. So they could be there end of the week for the next round of decisions to make. And let's look at Damien did lose out a bit over the weekend, as we predicted. I thought he could be up to 600 miles out, but in actual fact he's picked up a bit this morning. So if we put that onto Simon now, come across here, 565. So from a few hundred miles he's been going back as Simon's been pulling away. Now he's the other side of the magic 550. So but now you've got boat for boat. So I think you'll see that it's going to be very hard, but Damien has maybe a little bit faster boat than Simon on design wise, paper wise. But Simon's got good sails. He's a good sailor, same as Damien, and it'll be interesting to watch. Which is completely separate then from the issue here. This sort of fleet through the middle here, a couple hundred miles, 220 miles behind Simon. And but again, Simon's got to now come over. If you look at the track, to get past, he's got to head in this sort of course. Whereas Abelish can come down there, and that makes a big difference. Even Tapio, they're still up higher than Simon. So, by the time Simon gets to the mark, if all these trades stay the same, they might only be 150 miles behind, which is still very much in touch. I think that's really about all I've got to say this morning. So enjoy the rest of